Never have I been happier to be in the room with one of my favorite people in the world, Sara Morell.
Oh, no.
We're going to be talking today about prosperity, purpose, play. This is a great friend of mine that I've known for so many years, from the pajama parties of Portland, Oregon, to being on stages in front of 1 million people, building many cities across the globe, traveling and making the world a better place, nonprofit president and founder, and so many more amazing things, building schools in third world countries, all the things that we once dreamed about in a cheap little car with the tank on E, to today. I have goosebumps. I'm so happy to be here with you. One of my best friends in the entire world, in this lifetime and in lifetimes before and after. The Sara-nated reality that we're about to give and create right now. Miss Sara Morell.
So good. I'm laughing because this man has constantly got me giggling. Every call we have, I'm in uncontrollable laughter. It's one of our favorite intentions to set. Since we met each other, we were doing like reenactments of dance moves and pillows in his butt pants.
I was twerking with pillows in my butt. Which we can do today if you want. I mean, there are pillows. We can make it happen if we want to enlighten people.
Yeah,
that's how to do it.
It is. Laughter is.
It is.
Play is. And I giggle because I already know what's coming. I can feel the joy that's going to transpire in this podcast. And it's my favorite thing. Nate has always inspired me so much to take life a little bit on the lighter side and to use laughter as a catalyst to alchemize any of the stuck energy that you have in your life. And Nate, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be where I am today. I remember the moment, one of the moments, where I called you and I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know where to take my life in this direction. And where I was at, and you said to me, well, Sara, what would you do if you could do anything? And inside of my body, it was like, well, I would go to LA and I would live with you. And we would start an epic company. And you're like, okay, let's go. Here, listen to this Abraham Hicks on your way. That was like one of the second levels of my spiritual awakenings. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and you're just the type of person where you can't contain a butterfly, right? You have to share a Morell.
That didn't even make sense, Nate.
Well, Morell is, if I have to explain my joke, Morell is your last name. Morell is the type of a mushroom, and your first name is Sara. Sara Morell, share a Morell.
Oh, no.
So here we are.
It's not even that funny. It's funny.
It's just, this is the beauty of being around the right people, right? Because it's not funny at all, but it is because it's not funny. And if you're around the right people, they'll laugh at your jokes even if they're not funny. And that's the good. My two rules are, I need to be around people that will tell me that I have a booger before I go on stage.
And you have a mop on your head, and please wear that hat.
Yes. And two is that they laugh at my dumb jokes. If you can do those, you check those two boxes, we're good to go. Right? That's all that
lifelong.
matters.
This is the eternal game right here.
Yeah. And we 100% have known each other in previous lives, future lives. We have a very long timeline. And
the first 24 hours we met, we hopped in a car the next day.
And went to a different state together.
It drove to a different state.
You had to do a background check on me with our mutual friends, which was one person.
Thank you, Allison.
Yeah, Allison, who, I was my girlfriend when I was 12. She was 11. She's one of my first girlfriends.
Oh, Jesus.
It's actually really funny because it goes to show about, there's this recurring theme in my life, which is, yes, follow your intuition, but even more is step out of your comfort zone and do the thing that's uncomfortable. The last podcast that we just did before this, we were interviewing Ivy May. Ivy May She was one of the first people I met when I moved to this city. It was a cold, rainy day. I was feeling a little icky, and I got invited to go to a rooftop event on a rainy day. And I called her and I said, give me any reason to not go today. She's like, well, it's raining, it's cold. I was like, no, I meant, don't give me a reason. So she gave me all these reasons not to go. And I said, okay, I probably won't go. Hung up, sat there. I thought, I'm just going to go for 5 minutes. I'm just going to show up. I showed up. I met Desi. Desi introduced me to Blake, to Jackson. Jackson and I have made tons of money together. Blake and I do music together. I wouldn't have any of this music to the level that I have it now. Same thing happened with you. I visited my hometown, reached out to Allison, who I knew when I was 12, 13 years old. We said, hey, let's meet up, hang out. I wanted to just hang out with her. I didn't want to go somewhere else and hang out with a bunch of strangers. I wanted to reconnect with my friend. And last minute, she said, hey, I got invited to this pajama party. Do you want to go? I was like, I just kind of want, I'll let you know. And so I basically decided I wasn't going to go. And at the very last minute, I was like, screw it, I'll go. And that's when we met. And it changed the whole trajectory of my life. So I think the takeaway is just to always go out of your comfort zone to do the things that you know you should do, but you might be a little bit lazy to do or insecure about.
Can I double down on that?
I guess so. It's not like we're on a podcast.
So I think some of the things and keys to look for in this and what he just said is usually the way God speaks is a subtle whisper. And often, equal to greater the resistance is what exists on the other side of a life transformative experience. And so most of the time, when you're about to what I call God leap your life into new relationships, into expansion of business, there's going to be an uncomfortable feeling, a feeling of lethargy, depression, anxiety, heavy energy. I don't want to go. It's raining. I got to put my clothes on, whatever that is. Because your internal world knows that something on the external is about to change its reality. And so those of you who are listening now, who allow that energy to stop you from what I call catching your gold. So you have spent years of your life to be able to be at the frequency that you were and that I was in order to come together to create 1 + 1 = affinity in that moment. But most people, when they generate that much to catch their gold, they don't catch the gold. Their saboteur, their self-sabotage gets them to stay inside of their pajamas and not leave the house because they think the resistance is a sign that they aren't meant to go there. But they have to understand that the resistance, just like every ball player, every football player, every person that's out there on the field, is the very thing that builds their muscle in order to achieve the goal that they have in mind. The resistance, the other energy, is our trainer to be able to build our muscles so that we can hold the evolution of what is coming for us. If you didn't go through all of those moments to build the muscle, you wouldn't be able to hold the business success of the development that came from meeting the person you met that night. So the subtle whisper is very important in the way that you build and amplify. So how do I hear that subtle whisper? You use stillness, silence, and solitude as a daily. You must create and contain the time to sit with God, to hear it, your higher self, your intuition, the divine. That's how you develop it so that you notice that subtlety so you don't leave your keys and forget where they are.
Which I do all the time.
That's why I dropped that in.
If I may drop some serious knowledge. No, okay, it's not serious knowledge. It's a joke. No, that was brilliantly said, by the way. I must say that I'm very good at making my examples of my different friends. Like I can sound like my friends, right? But when my friends try to act like they're me, all they do is they say, I forgot my keys. And everyone knows who they're referring to. It's horrible.
For years.
Anyway, beautifully said. And what I'll add to that is our bodies naturally are designed for fight, flight, survival. We don't want to step out of our comfort zone because our bodies and minds have been built to only do what is necessary to survive. Because as human beings, that's all we've needed to do for millions of years. But we've evolved and our operating system has not caught up to our current state. And so our operating system has not been upgraded. And therefore, that's why we don't allow ourselves to step out of our comfort zones and self-sabotage. And so I think that an important thing to do is, one, always be around the right people.
Massive.
Two is always have mentors, people that can remind you of these things. And then three is to build that muscle of taking action, right? Like you said. I have a rule where when I'm at the gym, I make sure that I talk to 5 people. And I'll go through a cycle where one will just be like, hey, nice shirt. Hey, are you how many more sets do you have? Something simple like that. That's when I'm feeling really introverted. And then the next level up will be talk to them, start a conversation with them. And then talk to them, start a conversation with them, ask them for their Instagram, something like that. And it's not because I'm wanting to meet people or wanting to network. It's just building the muscle of getting out of my comfort zone. I'll do a lot of different things like that. For example, I was a part of this men's group, and we did this hilarious thing where we laid down in the middle of the floor in a mall.
Oh, I've seen this, it's people in Starbucks.
Yep. And it's just like you get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
So I'm going to add to everything you're saying. I'm just going to drop
do
it. Your friends are your gravitational pull. Your friends are the signs that point the direction of your future. We all have heard this, you're the sum of the 5 closest friends you have. But really, to let it land, who do you call when you're in a pickle, right? Or who are you around when you're in the energy? Those are the people that are literally holding whatever comes out of their mouth. Your word is law. So what you say with your mouth, you create in your life. And when you're sitting with people whose words create a life, that's a sign into the direction of your future. Your friends are the signs of your direction of your future. And they literally affect the gravity around you. They're like your gravitational pull towards the things in your life. Really letting that... It doesn't mean that you don't come in proximity with people that you're supporting or you're creating an evolution for, or that you maybe play with, but you have the master's game. You're here to win. You're not here just to be on the game. You're here to win. You're here to play to win. That you have a master's team who you are in close contact with on a daily or weekly basis to develop where you're going. The second thing I'll say is fear means go. So when you feel the feelings of fear flow through you, you know that's the direction of where you need to go in order to alchemize whatever energy has you subconsciously. Because you have 3 brains. And if your manifestation hasn't showed up in 90 days, one of your 3 brains is saying, I don't agree. So your mind, your heart, and your gut are your 3 different brains. And if your manifestation hasn't come here, one of the 3 are saying, that's not actually safe. Don't go do that. That more money is going to equal less time. More money is going to mean people don't like me. More success is going to mean that I lose the people that I love. So your 2 brains are constantly like, I'm going to get successful. I'm going to get successful. I'm going to get successful. I'm going to have 1 million followers. I'm going to do this. But your 1 brain's like, no, you're not. And you're working at it 10 years going, why isn't it come to fruition? One of your brains isn't in alignment with it. And so when you do the fear means go, and you head towards it, you can alchemize the subconscious block or pattern so that all 3 can get there. Well, how do you get all 3? How do you figure that out? I want to sit in self-inquiry and ask yourself, when I get wealthy, what is it that I don't want? When I get successful, what is it that I don't want? And listen to the answer. And then that usually sometimes just the consciousness awareness of it is all you need to alchemize it.
So we all know what this brain does, the mind brain, the head. That's the analytical, the creative. But how can we identify what the heart brain is thinking and saying to us, and the gut brain is thinking and saying to us? How do we differentiate where our thoughts are coming from?
Okay, so Eric Greishens is one of my really close friends, ex-senator. He's like Special Forces, Navy SEALs, or what? Forgive me, that's probably not the right term. And he's constantly training me. And one thing that he left me with is he said, most people in this planet take thoughts to feelings to actions to create their identity. Sara, you wanted to mold the identity that you desire. And from there, you're gonna set your mind towards those thoughts. And from there, your feelings will develop, and then that turns into your identity. So the way that you identify, I say that because the brain, you'll think the thoughts. That's the brain. The brain is the thoughts. But before the thoughts come, there's a feeling, there's a sensation.
Right.
And that's usually your intuition, which I would say is your gut. And your gut is built upon a lot of subconscious traumas, programming. Intuition never feels fearful.
Right.
Intuition is a peace, and always God. So I think I have to land this, because whoever's listening to this podcast right now, first of all, you don't even know who I am or what I do or why you should listen. And when I talk about intuition, or what I'm saying in this podcast, I speak a lot about God. And so I want to set this tone, because there is so much religion hurt. And there's so many people that are speaking on the behalf of God who really are not connected with God. Or they're spiritual gurus, or the universe loves me, or whatever that is. I'm going to go deep for a minute.
Yeah.
I was born on All Saints' Day in St. Joseph, in a saint hospital, given 2 names that mean of God and devoted to God. And my parents don't believe in God, and they didn't believe in God. And my birth numbers are 1, 1, 1, 1. And in scripture, there's a story of Sarah. She is who birthed the lineage to Yeshua. And that is Hebrews 11, 11, which are my birth numbers. I was born with a very deep, divine connection to Yahweh, to God. And I never had church, so I never had any church hurt or religious hurt or any rules or regulations. I just had a relationship with this profound energy that has protected me and guided me my entire life. And in the last few years, God guided me back to a church and studying scripture. And I have my own walk with it, but I am not religious. So I'm going to drop all of that and say all of that, so you understand when I talk about God, I am talking about the relationship, not the rule book. Your intuition, God gives you peace. That's why they call Yeshua the Prince of Peace. You never want to make a decision from the house of chaos, urgency, corruption, disruption, delusion, distortion, fear. That's the house of opposition. That's the house of the fear house. You always go to the house of peace, which is God. Peace will tell you, and if you can't quite hear, you give God God's favorite thing, which is time. That's God's love language, time, so that you can decipher which direction to go to. And I will give you 3 tips after this. If you're trying to make a decision on which way to go, I'll give you 3 profound tools to utilize in your life. And by the way, listen to this podcast, because there's going to be so many tools and tips that we're giving you. That's why you want to stay on the whole time. So if you first feel a sense of peace for a decision, but then your body wraps itself with fear, that's just the saboteur. The first initial 3-second, right, is the peace. The rest of it can be your trauma state responses. Now, epigenetics has proven that throughout our history, our ancestors are actually, their memories are ingrained in our DNA. They're in our cells, in our being. We have their memories. So through the study of epigenetics, they've proven it. So our ancestors are actually programming us what to feel or think or do or say. So that is sometimes the mixed signals you're getting from your gut. Now, your heart, I believe, is the filter that really knows how to discern between those worlds. Your heart has the brain of the law of love and the law of peace, which is given to us as our birthright to make manifest God's glory through human form. It is the one source and potential that has the ability to radiate the manifestation you wish to create 10x more than any other. It's like the engine that puts the two together. So you can feel, but when you're sitting in all of that, so you'll know, let me go deep on, you'll know when you sit in self-inquiry. I know I just gave that all to you, but I'm going to break it down a little bit differently right now. If your heart has been injured by love and you really want a partner in your life and you've worked years at trying to acquire that partner, I've been years on a celibate journey, slight dating in between. I like to call myself a sovereign mom, not a single mom, because it's me and God raising those babies, but I choose to be single. I don't have to be single. One of my 3 brains is very loud that it is not safe to have love. So I went into self-inquiry, And I'm like, oh man, I love being single. Why do I love being single? Well, there's a belief system on the Tide beliefs, like, oh, my house will be clean. That there's a man who doesn't want to clean the house, right? So that's my self-inquiry. Now, my heart feels that. That's one of those brains that's feeling it. But I actually truly believe that the thing that's running it is the subconscious, is the gut. And it's feeding the heart the information that it's still not safe.
Right.
Very long answer.
Right.
Should I give a pause or should I give you the 3 things?
Give them.
Okay. If you're trying to make a decision in your life, do I go left or do I go right? The first thing I want you to do is imagine that both are great. Both are great decisions. One of them, which one of them will equal more? 5 years, 1 year, 10 years down the road, which one do you think has a grander possibility in your life? So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is, which one would you regret not taking more? So a lot of times the thing we are most fearful of, the thing that we don't want to do the most, the thing that feels the most uncomfortable, that's the thing that you'd regret on your deathbed, which I know you love talking about. And that's the very thing you need to go towards. And the third way to make a decision is you demand a direct lead from God. And you go into a meditative state of prayer. You sit in that energetics. You pull in from the vortex. This is what I need to know the answer on. And you give God 3 days. And you will have somebody like Nate call you 3 times. I think you need to come to Vegas. I think you need to come to Vegas. Somebody else is like, hey, I think I'm supposed to go to Vegas.
3 whispers.
Yep.
Yep. I love that.
That was
I
very
love
long
that.
spin.
Thanks. There's so many directions I could take from that. Two of the most powerful things that I've experienced that have created things for me are the following. And a little bit of context. I've had so many people come out of the woodworks and tell me, how do you just say something and it just happens?
Your word is law.
It's scary. I get that constantly. It's scary. You say, oh, I'm gonna move to Las Vegas and I'm going to find a mansion and host events at the mansion. That happened before I got here. I jumped on a sales call and the guy said, hey, actually, you don't need to buy our program. It's like a $6,000 program. We'll give it to you because we see the value that you offer. I want to introduce you to this guy. Introduced me to the guy. The guy has a mansion in Vegas. And I was like, great, because I wanted to use the mansion in Vegas for like a networking tool to be able to add value to other individuals so that I could expedite the process of meeting all the best people here. So I digress. So when people say, how the heck do you do that? My answer always was, I don't know, because I was unconscious competence, unaware of what I could do. And the 2 things that really have done it for me, and I realize is that number 1 is the meditation of the end of life meditation, where you close your eyes and you envision yourself sitting at a window with the most beautiful view outside of the window. The breeze is blowing in. You look at your hands, and your hands are old and beautifully decrepit.
Wait. Everybody close your eyes. Take a minute. Take a deep breath. Now allow Nate to guide you on a very short journey to your deathbed.
Let's do it. All right. So with your eyes closed, imagine you're looking out a window. The most beautiful scene you can imagine. Could be waves crashing, birds singing, perfect weather. You look at your hands, you notice that they're wrinkled, beautifully aged. You're somewhere between 85 and 105 years old. You pick your number. And it's your last day on earth as a human being. And you're sitting back and you're thinking about all of your moments, thinking about your family, your friends, the ones that have already passed on, the ones that you'll be leaving behind. You think about all the things you've done. You're proud of yourself, thinking of all the things you've done. Think about the funniest moments, silliest moments, most serious moments, how you handled yourself in certain situations. You also think about some things that you didn't get to do. I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. And you find yourself pretty surprised that you're less regretting the things that you could have done, like start a business or accomplish this thing or achieve this thing. But what you're noticing is you're saying more of, I wish I would have showed up a little bit more for my kids, or I wish I would have shown a little bit more love in these certain situations. Or maybe when people flip me off in traffic, I could have smiled instead of flip them off back and try to cut them off again. And as your time is ticking down, you start thinking, I'm really grateful for what I have, but I do wish I could just go back one more time to, 20 years ago. Let's say you chose the age of 95. 20 years in the past, I was 75. I wish I could go back to when I was a young little 75-year-old. Or 30 years into the past to when I was 65. Or 40 years in the past to when I was 55. Or 50 years in the past to when I was 45, or even 35 or 25, whatever age that is. I wish I could go back. And as your time is ticking down, you're just thinking, I wish I could go back just one more time. There's so many things I would do differently. Say that thing to my mom, to my dad, to my loved one. Wish I could go back. I wish I could go back. I wish I could go back. Open your eyes. Your wish has been granted.
That every time I've never had any regrets. My whole life I can move through things until I became a parent. Every time I do the deathbed meditation, my babies are there. And I consistently feel the feeling of it's not enough time. Really, on our deathbed, I went through a journey maybe 2 years ago, and I asked to know God deeper, and God said, well, if you want to understand me, you have to understand opposition. And I was shown visions and images of how this other energy force in this world, its greatest secret of all was separating mothers and fathers from offspring, and doing it in a way of like, look at the business, look at your phone, look at this thing, don't pay attention to them. And that has created this cycle that has harmed our planet the most, is separating ourselves in this delusional story. And then God said the greatest secret of it all, after he showed me this greatest secret, and the greatest secret of it all. And it showed me with my baby sitting in front of the fire with a book.
He said, wait, I got a better one.
Yeah. This is the secret to that secret. The greatest reason that we are here on this planet is to love. And the accolades and the accomplishments and all of these things, when you're in that deathbed, you nailed it, Nate.
That's why we want those things, though, right? Anything we do is because we want to feel loved. If someone wants to be famous, it's because they want to feel loved. If someone, it's either love or comfort or something that supports that, right? Even if you want to take out the trash, right? You don't want to take out the trash because you want to feel loved. But you take out the trash so that it doesn't smell in your house, so that you can enjoy yourself, so that you feel
really,
more
Nate?
love.
Is that
right?
why you do it?
Yeah. I mean, otherwise you're just going to be...
You're also the hero of the house.
No one's going to love you if you have a trashy house. I mean, come on. And you got to tell all these guys this, too. You're talking about you don't want a guy around because he's not going to clean up.
All the stories that are in there. They can't handle my bigness. Can I share a little on that?
Yeah.
I asked God, why is it that you said, let there be light first? And the first thing that God showed me was that sound goes faster than light. And your word is law. So what you speak points the direction of your future. So first God spoke, which created a vibration, which then light appeared. And if we're questioning, are we speaking in a way that we should be? I want you to do a practice right now. You guys should have your pens and paper out. You should be writing all this down. After you say something, I want you to practice saying, and that's the way I like it.
Ooh.
Like, my arms are so big, and that's the way I like it. Or my butt looks bad, and that's the way I like it. My bank account only has 500, and that's the way I like it. So
Wait, may I real quick?
Yeah.
So that's beautiful because, and I don't know if this is where you're going or not, but if you say something good, it reinforces it.
Yeah.
So, dang, I look good today, and that's the way I like it.
Yeah.
Or if you say, I only have $500 in my bank account, and that's the way I like it, it's almost calling out the fact that you must like it if it's that way.
Yeah. Yeah, double down.
That's the energy you're putting out.
So God first said, "Let there be light." I said, "Why is out of all the things, I don't know, what is that? What is
Why
that
not
about?"
pizza, right?
Yeah, I don't know, like, oh, let there be love, or
Yeah.
maybe there was already light. Like, I don't even understand why there wasn't light already. Like,
Right.
but I heard. Now I'm just gonna say I heard. I'm not saying this is my own God, my own relationship.
Right.
I heard, see me, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
See me, to see me. And then God showed me flashes of the planet and the birds and the rivers and the oceans and then humans. And then he said, look at the humans, look at the humans, look at the humans. What do the humans want more than anything? See me. And a lot of people that are afraid to be seen is because of some sort of programming or subconscious development in them that's untrue, unreal, but their core of them does, because they want to be loved. They want to be seen in order to be loved. And so see me is God in you. That is God in you asking, because you are God. Even Yeshua said, is it not written that you are all gods? You are God in human form. And so
I try to tell my daughter this, but she's like, no, you're not. What are you talking about?
See me, is that trait? I am God. That's a natural instinct in us that is so beautiful.
Yeah, I really resonate with that. And there's a lot of beauty in that concept of just see me, because I personally really resonate with the idea of there being
we have two sexy women coming in, sitting down in these chairs.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys,
go.
We brought two Royals into the house that flew all the way from Ireland and Austin, Texas with me to represent the adventure that we're going on.
Sunday and AKA Nathan.
We're breaking up this podcast for the best interruption.
Emily, Sunday, AKA Nathan.
Broadcast interruption from Emily Fitz and Moira.
Yeah. It's just like, when you're in the room with maybe one of your kids and then your other kid comes and jumps in and joins the cuddle puddle. That's what just happened. Right. That's what just happened right now.
I think he called you guys kids. Go with it.
Yeah, we're all kids. Yeah. We're all
God's
I
kids.
heard your conversation.
You know, always talking about God. When is she not talking about God? That's all the time.
Well, I said the duality of coming to Sin City.
Yeah, she called that one out. I mean, okay, so let's just talk about something now that we have all the women in the house.
Let's do it.
We just led an epic, life-changing event that Emily Fitz and I birthed from one call of like, hey, we should be accountable with each other. Here comes Soar. And Moira and I manifested each other. She'll tell the joke and story of it later. And so she flies out from Ireland to speak and be a part of this incredible mission. And Emily and I and Moira are holding hands. You both look great, by the way. With, I don't know, there's maybe 40 women. And this is at the end of the day. We probably had about 75 total at the end of this incredible epic. We teach women how to build wealth in their life. That's what we do. And we're in prayer. And a lot of these women who are coming to our events, they don't know this is a faith-based event. We sneak God into everything that we do because there's so much religious hurt in it. Mm-hmm. And at the end of it, we're like, okay, we're closing in prayer and ceremony. And Emily is so great. She brings in Casey, who we absolutely love, who's just this God in walking. And I hear God say to me, tell her go. And Casey speaks tongue, which anybody listening right now might think this is crazy. We're crazy. I'm going to go with it. Look, my life is epically fun and so alive. And, I'm building cities and doing all these things and on stages. And all these women are sitting here. They're doing epic, amazing things. So there must be something here. So let's just pretend for a minute that Sarah's life is real. So this woman breaks hands. She starts speaking in tongue. And the Holy Spirit grabs me. And I literally am falling backwards. And I think, oh my God. First thing I think of in my head is, what are people going to think?
Right.
I'm one of the leaders. I'm supposed to hold my shit together. Something pushes me forward so I don't fall backwards. And I collapse on my knees and I receive what she's speaking in tongue, which is the images and the flashes of all of the pain and suffering, some of the pain and suffering that these women have gone through in their lives. And I'm crying as we're processing. Casey's shaking her head like, you're hearing, you understand when I'm speaking in tongue. Mm. And I bow my head back down like, whoa, and I'm just in reverence. I can feel God moving it. And I look to my left and my right, and all of the women all of a sudden crumble to knee. It was like within seconds this has all happened. We're all on knee, and half the women are pouring out in tears. Mm-hmm. The next morning, exhausted, we have one girlfriend who's going to get baptized. And I'm so tired that I'm like, I'm going back and forth more. I'm like, I can't go. I think we're just going to go to the farmer's market and grab some food.
There it is
Farmer's
again.
market, yeah. That was
There
the
it is
most
again.
interesting farmer's market journey I ever had.
She's like, I know now what to do when Sara Morell says we're going to the farmer's market. So, so I'm like, we got to stop at the church real quick. Walk in, and next thing you know, here we are. Our whole crew got the calling. Like our whole main center crew got the calling to show up, and they all, look and they're like, I'm getting baptized. I'm getting baptized. You're going to get baptized. I'm going to get baptized. And they look, and one of them women says, Sarah, it's a couple of them. It's because of you that we're here. I brought more than 100 people to church in this year, and not to God, not to a religion. And they said, will you baptize me? And the next woman grabs me and says, will you baptize me? And the next woman grabs me and says, will you baptize me? And Emily's there shaking her head like, yep, this is Eden, baby. We're creating it. And Moira's like, what is going on? And I'm in the pool with men, pastors, women, finally in the churches where we belong, up there baptizing our women, our men together. That's how this journey has unfolded. And then I said to Moira, listen, I'm going to Vegas. You just flew from Ireland. I totally forgot about this. Like, you should hop on the plane and come. And then I grab Emily and I'm like, oh my God, what if this is this thing and it's happening together? I think you should grab the flight. You guys are going to love Nate. And here we are.
Here we are.
And Nate's like, Sarah, I don't know what's going on, but you keep coming to mind. And I think that you should come to Vegas and we should talk about co-investing in our companies together to launch this mission of what you're doing. And that's almost the same call that Emily got and the same call that Moira got. And now we're all together building this empire.
And I believe, mistake me if I'm wrong, but that week prior to me making that call to you, you were asking God for some sort of a sign of whether you should let something go or so that you should continue on with something.
Massively. I was in a state of prayer for a few months, crumbling. The level of responsibility that God has put in my life. I mean, I'm a sovereign mom, and these girls know I've spent a lot of time on my knees and in tears. How do I hold this? I understand that these women are sacred soul contracts. This isn't a client. Relationships are not transactional. What we're doing is not transactional. This is karma. These are the souls. It's the eternal game. And at the same time, I have to put finances, more resources on the table for me and my babies. And I'm growing these mini cities, and I'm doing a lot in this moment. And I understand, like, running the nonprofit, you've been on my board for 13 years. Like, we have a school of kids and we're working with homeless for years. And now I'm on the board of 9 orphanages and I'm like, God, you got to bring the disciples of this. They're going to steward this mission. This isn't mine. And I knew it. God told me there will be multiple women that are going to run this empire, multiple men that are going to run this empire. And I was just in a state of prayer, like, it's time. You got to bring them. I need someone that's going to handle sales and just be the director of this ship that's enrollment, not sales, enrollment to catalyzing your future and like being there in that transformation. And I need a woman who's going to hold the fort down of God and holding your ancestral lineage and just speaks to the soul of her essence in every way and has the relationship, the 10-year epic marriage relationship that holds that code. And the guy that like gets the structure of play and fun. And also let's build a lot of wealth, because when we, the heart-centered crew, have wealth, we build the orphanages together. And here you guys showed up literally all within days of each other. Finally, we've been kind of talking about this for a very long time, but it was like popcorn time.
Right.
The Holy Spirit is moving.
The Holy Spirit is moving.
And I personally love, I love those shoes. But other than that,
Yes.
Wait,
mine,
sorry, I was
hers?
pointing past
Damn.
yours to hers, but yours
Damn.
are gorgeous as well.
Listen, these are cowboy boots,
gorgeous.
leather, Texan. Hers are really cute too. Actually, we were talking about shoes is her thing. This is not strange at all that it's getting brought up.
Right, not at all. No, I mean, we'll look
And you're
at them.
clearly not into shoes.
Yeah,
No,
your
not
shoes
at
are
all.
amazing
No,
too.
no,
And
not at all.
You
Emily's.
don't really
I was
care about
sexy.
fashion.
No,
Full
not at
stop.
all.
I see.
Not at all.
Look really good. Yeah. God too. Oh, and we're human.
And that's the best. That's what I love. That's what I love about Vegas is like people here. There's like a kind of like woo-woo community here, and they're so grounded in reality too. And there's this beautiful like acceptance of all things, right? So you don't have like a super far right or left political. You don't have a super far like conservative when it comes to religion. It's like you can be whatever you want to be,
And it's love.
and it's accepted.
It's awesome.
And that's the beauty of what you're saying, which is I think where a lot of folks are going in the last few generations, which is, hey, I do feel some sort of a calling or a connection to something greater than what I see in front of me. God, connection, universe, whatever people want to call it. But I don't necessarily want to follow the rules of my stuffy great grandparents that think that you should be afraid of these things and that you have to follow these things, otherwise these things will happen. And so that I really appreciate. And the other thing I really appreciate is I have a rule for myself, which is if I'm not being weird enough that someone's looking at me funny, then I'm playing small.
It's true Nate's story.
Then I'm playing small.
Yeah, it's true Nate's
There's
story.
a guy, his name is Jim Guy.
Amazing.
I don't know his real name, but I call him Jim Guy. He knows. I told him, hey, what's up, Jim Guy? I don't know your name. I'm going to call you. Don't tell me your name. I'm just going to call you Jim Guy. It's what all my friends know you as. I just need to let you know that I am blown away by your energy. This guy comes into the gym. He looks like a football player, shorter, bulky, black dude, football player. He comes into the gym.
I'm hearing you should know his name.
He turns. I will definitely know his
it's
other
like
name.
goosebumps up and down.
I will definitely
I hear
ask
his name is important.
I will ask.
Yeah.
And he comes into the gym, and everybody looks at him like, okay, all right. I'm just going to, and they try not to look. But this guy he's the biggest, he's the king of that gym. He's the king of that gym because he comes in and he's like, he's moving energy around and he's like, yeah, wah, wah,
I'm so glad
he's
this is on video.
He's going. He's looking at his muscles. He's talking to it. He's like, there it is. There, I see you. Okay. Oh, you've been asking for this one, huh? And he's just going at it. And I'm
We
like,
gotta get Jim Guy in here.
Jim Guy he's my hero. He's my hero.
There's a fifth.
He's my hero.
When
And
you said his name was Jim Guy, I literally was picturing Jim
yeah.
Guy.
Yeah.
Not even a
Right.
Jim Guy.
Yeah, this guy's my hero. He's amazing.
That's self-talk.
And guaranteed there are some people that go home and they like maybe make fun of the guy, not really make fun of, but just they're like, oh, there's this guy in the gym. He's a little weird. Deep down, they want to be that.
Right. Free expression.
And everybody else, they just are like respect. Because
Yeah.
I wish I could show up in a room like that. Even me, someone who I will go way out of my comfort zone
Yes, you do.
to just
I will
like,
attest to that.
if I feel introverted in a situation, I'll make a fool out of myself. Just
he
so
has many times.
just to punish myself, lovingly punish myself for being introverted as opposed to being out there.
You know what I realized we didn't do is we didn't pray, and I know why now. I'd love to do. So Nate was just laying it down with a meditation before you guys got in here, which was epically. I started having tears, epically powerful. And Emily, I'd like you to co-lead us in a prayer, a short prayer, and then we'll go back into it. But before we do that, Nate, what he's saying is I can attest to, and it's so fun. So for any of you listening right now, I want to challenge you. This is the other homework. I want you to get weird with it, get fun, get your playful self. Like I have built everything I've built in my life. I'm an ex-drug addict stripper, classified disabled, that's now doing all those things that I just spoke about. Like it's incredible the transformation you can have in 16 seconds. Oh my gosh, this is so divine. What does it say? Can you see this on the video? Can we tune into that? Yeah, that's right. God is madly in love with you. Oh, what?
And it's texting you.
And texting us
middle of
right
a
now.
podcast.
In
Come on,
Nate's
God.
podcast. God loves us, guys. God loves us. And Nate's really who helped me out of my bubble. I mean, literally the first picture we ever have together, we were doing the like Dirty Dancing reenactment of flying through the air.
The photo you showed
The
me,
photo I
yeah.
showed you, yeah. And we created a tent
It's like
inside the
acro
living
yoga.
room. And we'd have our little fingers up because we're number one under this self-made tent.
Kids.
You know, and we explained in the beginning he had pillows in his butt twerking. And one party was one of the best moments of my life.
Oh God.
Someone had
gonna
the
be
video
so
camera
enlightening.
going. And it's Nate's birthday, and there's all these pretty women. So Nate's trying to act.
Cool.
Yes. And what happens every time Nate tries to act cool?
It doesn't work.
And yeah, I think it was me that was recording. Who was recording? Somebody's recording the video.
Probably you.
And Nate's going around the corner, and he's got like his little thug dance going, you know, to this rap song, right?
Do we have a recording of
Yes, we do.
Okay.
There is. And we should add this clip in
Wow.
right now.
Yes.
Okay, we got to have it in, okay? got to. And there's this beautiful woman sitting on the stairs. Nate.
Well, I was surrounded. By people. There was nowhere to go. I turned here. I turned here. She can't finish the story, so I'll finish it. I had to sneeze, and I was surrounded by people. And so I was like, uh-oh, gotta sneeze. So I turned to sneeze, but there was someone there. And I turned again and again and again and again. And there was nowhere to go.
No, all right. I don't remember your hand even going up. He sees the stairs in my mind. Doesn't realize someone's sitting in the stairs because there's a wall. So he takes his nose, which is big, and points it at the direction of the stairs. And it shoots snot. Like,
It wasn't that bad.
It was so bad, she screams. What does she scream? Ew!
Oh my gosh.
And Nate's face, like this, and it's all on camera. And we just watch.
Let's roll that back.
Let's
in
roll
slow motion.
Yeah, we're gonna need a slow motion replay.
Oh, good. All right, Emily, my love, will you set us into intention for the remainder?
Nice
How long do we have
transition.
left?
Duality.
How long do we have left of this pod?
14:11.
Okay, great. This is perfect. We're just gonna not end in prayer because there's gonna be some words after, but it's the perfect divine timing for all of us to sink in. And Moira's gonna give some landing tips on how to 3x your income, and Emily to face your fear and get in there, and we'll know about the empire we're building and a little more funny Nate.
Let's do it.
Holy Spirit,
Mm.
God of the Most High, we are so epically grateful to be here together in this magical co-creative space.
Mm.
Thank you for bringing our hearts and our souls back into this meeting place where I sense there has been many a walk and a journey together. Thank you for the gift that is co-creation and co-weaving and the new earth paradigms that we are seeding through conversation and connection and community, bringing together the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine as we are being invited and asked to rise side by side, stepping beyond the old wounds of hierarchy or less than or better than, but really coming together in sacred union where there's so much magic and potency available to each and every one of us when we just slow down and listen to your word. Listen to what you are asking of us, God. Thank you to our benevolent ancestors who are here and blessing us, celebrating with us as we take the stage and the mic and have the conversations they never could. God, we're so grateful that you placed us here on this earth at this time, during this sacred, sacred time in history and herstory as we are paving new paradigms of truth and love, unconditional love and knowing. Thank you for leading us down a path that few would be brave enough to walk and giving us the courage and the strength to walk it. Oh, it is in your name that we pray.
I'm just going to add my Sarah to this. Yahweh. Yeshua, I ask you, take our eyes so that we may see with your eyes. Take our mouths so that we may speak your words. Guide our hearts so that we may love like you. And guide our steps so that we may walk in the path that you have laid out for us. I ask you to clear from us any distortion, any delusion, any distraction that is not in our highest good. Lord, let it be known and come in and throughout our body, in every cell, that we may feel your love like ecstasy. I ask you to guide the rest of this podcast, the rest of this conversation, and our day, and the next day, and the next day, and all those who come into this place and space. We thank you and we pray in your mighty name, Yahweh. Mm. Amen.
Oh.
Moira,
Mm-hmm.
you have traveled all over the world teaching women and men how to 3x their income, land 100K clients, $1 million days. You are an incredible human who showed up on the doorstep of my life, literally, as I was breaking into the wrong house. We're both lost in the moment of into each other's lives. Literally, we're both lost when we met each other. Think about that.
Mm.
And our new direction was birthed in that moment.
Mm.
You were asking to meet Sara Morell, and I was asking for you. And the moment we actually came into union in physical form, we were both literally lost.
Mm-hmm.
You were lost in an Uber car, not knowing where the place was, and the guy was mad at you. And I literally broke into the wrong house, not knowing where I was. And I was on the roof, and she was in the car, and we saw each other through that moment. And she's like, "I think that's Sara Morell," and I said, "I think that woman's supposed to be in my place." And you were asking God for a greater purpose through your work.
Yeah, for, I would say definitely in the last year, but specifically in the months leading up to meeting you. But Nate, I was sitting in a cottage in Donegal on the northwest edge of Europe, next to the Atlantic Ocean, and I'm watching Sara Morell, never met her, watching her online training and teaching, and I'm like, who is she? And I'm writing notes, and I'm like, oh God, she's amazing. I'd love to meet her. And then this opportunity came up to go to a retreat that she was going to be speaking at. I didn't have a visa. There was a lot of obstacles. And then the last minute, I was able to go. And then when I was on my way, I was like, oh, what if I met Sara and we got talking? What if I actually got to stay in the same place as her? That would be cool. Right? And I'm pulling up at the Airbnb that night and I'm looking up at the balcony going, you got to be kidding me.
Sara Morell in the wrong house.
I'm an attendee and she's a speaker, so the chances of that actually happening, it wasn't very probable. But the timing of when I booked and made the decision,
Right.
Divine orchestration.
It's wild how that happens.
Last
right?
second. Yep. And I was supposed to have Daniel's room, the creator of this event, Jenna Raphael, we love you. And he said, I'm not going to be staying there. I need you to stay there. And there happened to be a spare room, and she got the ticket at the last seconds, and there was no room for her at the main place with all the other attendees. So he's like,
Thank
go
God.
ahead and stay at this Airbnb with the
Wow.
presenters. And so Moira, I want you to land a code if you can. For people who are struggling or don't see their worth, or they're trying to 3x their income, or, develop themselves. I mean, I'll tell you guys, from one call with Moira, and it went from 20K to 50K clients, literally the next day. The next day, one call with her, she's like, Sara, just go for the nose. Just screw it. Just for the fun of it, wing it out, 50K client. And I was like, all right, okay. 50K. And she's like, oh, okay, great, I'll sign up. And I was like, what? This hurts. One call.
Well, it's more than that, because the value that you were bringing to your clients, from what I could hear, I was just like, come on, And I think the main thing is that people are too stuck in the time and the sort of, the tools, the gadgets, the things that they're giving people, when it's really in the person they become as a result of the work. And often you cannot put a price on that. That is actually priceless. But in order for the person that you're working with to really value their transformation, they have got to be invested.
Right.
So you charge a lot, not just for you, it's actually for them, so that they show up, they do the work, they're fully committed. And that's really important. And people forget that because we make it all about us, and actually it's not about us.
It's about the product you're serving.
Exactly. And it's about the person that we're helping people become. Because once they become that person, they don't go back.
Right.
You go, and then there's another level, and we're always growing, because that's what we're here for. And if a plant is not growing, it's dying. And I'm not saying people are dying, but it's like, as entrepreneurs, it's growth, period. Or else you're not really in the game. And it is a game. It certainly is a game.
And what I love about you is you're always doing it. She's like, just do it for fun. Let's just play with it. Play with it. Don't take it so seriously.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then she had us do a self-inquiry. She's like, okay, well, what do you, going through like all the things that I provide for a client, that helped me to see my values. So if you were talking to anybody right now who you could see it, but they didn't see it, how would you walk them through?
Well, you were kind of taking that for granted, that people coming into your sphere, that they don't just get you, but they get her entire network. They get invitations to opportunities. They get first refusals on land deals, on properties, on you can even invest in their company, and that's just who you are. And people take for granted who they just are, and like naturally, exactly.
So seeing that,
and
as
that's
a
why
value.
that's why we need support. We need someone to mirror what you're seeing.
And I'm not the only. So there's so many people that she has worked with, 1 session, 2 sessions, and they've unlocked this kind of transformation for themselves. And Moira has come on to our Royale. So I have an investment firm for women. Now men are joining. Thank you, like Scott. Her husband is enough of that energy. It's entering in. We have now what's called the ARC, a part of Royale. And the women come in and they receive education around wealth energetics, and we have financial advisors who know what they're doing in that department. I just know wealth and all that kind of stuff. And then we have, like really leads and director of enrollment and sales, and it's this incredible company. And then it leads to owning companies together. We buy companies or shares of companies, and then buying land. So it's and in-person retreats and experiences. And so these are the faces of the Royale. And now we have another event that's coming called Holy Wealth in Austin, Texas, June 21st to the 23rd, which is with men, which Nate is going to be speaking at. We're so excited.
All right.
And now I want to throw the ball to Emily just to make sure, because we have 4 minutes left. Your magic and what you bring and what you to every creation that we have created with each other. I mean, I got baptized. And I knew I was getting baptized. This is last year, basically on my birthday. And right after I had booked this, I'm going to get baptized, Emily and I don't really know each other, but through Garen Jones, another mutual friend who's a powerful influencer and teacher, author, contacts me and says, will you speak at my event? That's kind of how I remember it going. And it's called Rapture. What are the odds, right, that you get baptized and you go to an event called Rapture to speak afterwards? And I remember walking in and going, this woman, wow, the way that you command this space in such powerful, divine feminine. And you're the first person who laid the code with me that the lionesses run in a pack. So my love, give us some codes on running in a pack, on letting the God guide you, on, the royal mission.
Well, I was taken on a shamanic journey with my soul, asking my soul, what is the frequency that you're wanting me to walk with this year? And this was last year in 2023. And, the shamanic journey and the connection with soul, so often the beginning of the year, we'll pick words and we'll go, oh, I'm here. My word this year is play or stewardship or right. I've done it. I do it. Right. But actually, when you tap into the sacred and you tap into your soul's calling and what he is calling you into, that is always going to be beyond what we know, beyond what we can see. Right? That's the difference, is when I'm picking from my linear logical mind, I'm pulling from something I already know. When I am tapping into soul and source, I'm pulling from something beyond what I already know and am embodying. And so I went into this shamanic journey, and in the visualization, she shows me this naked woman standing on a rock, and she has this long braid down her back, and right above her head, it says lioness. And I go, oh my God, I think that's my word, obviously. So I do some intuitive Googling, and I read.
I love that, intuitive Googling.
Totally.
It's very important. You cipher through the information that it's not true.
Exactly. And the very first thing I see is that lionesses don't hunt alone. They hunt in packs with other lionesses. And so last year was a massive up level. We did 4 retreats in 2 years. And also I got to work more closely with this incredible woman on the start of really amplifying the Royale brand. And I said to her, lionesses run in packs. And so that's what we're supposed to be doing, is co-creating these ventures. That's the new earth paradigm and the frequency of walking with the sacred feminine, leading these ways, right? And so lioness is the code that holds the thread of how we co-create in these new ways.
And she said, stay big. Sarah, I was feeling the injury of being too big for the spaces I was in, and that quote unquote was hurting the women I was around, and I felt like I was too much. And then I met Emily, and we're like, like bigger.
Yeah, there's really something to be said with that. Beautifully and powerfully said. Thank you. And there are so many women that I've known, and Sarah, as you know, I'm just naturally magnetized toward like power women that just are like, if you have been told your whole life that people are intimidated by you, then you're my friend. And most of my previous relationships, that's been a thing, and they constantly get told you're taking up too much space, right? And so that's a huge one for me. I'm very passionate about that. Don't take up more space. And the beauty of it is, yes, of course, and get weird with it, and have tons of empathy and understanding, because you don't want to be blind and huge and knocking stuff over like water bottles.
Twice. Yes. Humble the heart.
Yeah, that's huge. Humility, of course, and that's for everyone, regardless of gender. But my word for the year is toward enormous, right? And so
what does that mean?
Being enormous, like walking toward being enormous.
Twerking.
Not twerk. Twerk enormous. No, we're not still
that
doing
would
that.
be fun too.
Yeah, that would be fun too.
Side note.
Bigger pillows, Nate.
Right, yeah.
Cut to that clip.
There's a video of that too.
This is going to be the best podcast ever.
Yeah. But I'm very grateful, more than anything, to here's what I want to say. We've known each other for a very long time, and I am truly humbled by your growth. It's incredible. And even just being in your presence and seeing the way that you show up and the way that you that you speak and the all the things that you've done, I've seen it from afar, but there was a time, this is a constant theme in my life, where I was raised very well, and I'm just like full of love. I have more energy than I know what to do with, and I give it. And so I have always had people in my life who have needed me to help lift them up. And now I'm in a place in my life where some of those people have skyrocketed past where I am in so many ways. And one of those people is Sarah. It's just skyrocketed. And now I'm just so grateful, because she's opening her hand downward and lifting me up, because I'm
not
in a place.
Downward.
Well, in certain ways, absolutely, because I'm in a era of my life right now where a lot has happened, and I've been in a hibernation. And so,
it's a remembrance.
Just reaching your hand into that cave and being like, "Hey, it's springtime."
I can totally
You mean
relate
you're
to
not
that
you're
as
not
well.
tired of holding my shit right now? Is what you're saying? There was a season. Where Nate
Okay,
was
last story
constantly
before
holding
we
my shit.
last story before we end the podcast. Go for it, and then we'll wrap up.
I mean, when I met Nate, I was going through such an epic growth journey, and Nate really held me, really held me energetically, emotionally, mentally, physically, in so many ways. Well, we really held each other in a lot of ways.
100%.
100%. But I would often, because they have pockets. This is real. Women don't have enough pockets. There's a plague in society with women's clothing. It's true. And so Nate was my pocket. And one time he was frustrated with me, and we're all living together.
We're walking her dog around the block.
And he was.
I had her purse in my hand. I had her stuff in my hand.
And Nate's so good at puns, so it's even funnier. And the dog pooped. And I said, "Can you hold the bag of poop?" And the conversation went further, and he was like, "You know what, Sarah? I'm just so tired of holding your shit." And we looked down, and he literally had the shit.
And we just started
It was
cracking
so
up
good.
laughing.
And now I get to transfer some of the codes I've learned to a man who's standing beside me. You are standing beside me as a pillar man. You're an amazing father, an amazing partner, an amazing friend. I'm just transferring a few codes that you've, in the last few years, spent time raising a little girl. And you called me when I was raising my babies, and you said, "Remember who you are, Sarah." And I was in the end of a very toxic marriage for many reasons. I love my ex-husband now. We were not meant to be together, and you reminded me in that moment. So this is just our walking home to each other, walking each other home.
That's right.
That's
Let's
beautiful.
do it. I'll even hold the bag of poop.
Yeah.
I want to make sure we name drop for a minute, because I'm here. But Emily, Fitz, and Moira, can you guys put what is your Instagram? How do they find you?
Yeah, I'm Moira Moret. So Mouret, so Moira_MOURET on Instagram. It's a new account because I deleted my old one. Part of my hibernation in the last year or so.
I hear it. Yeah, I hear it.
You can find me at the.emilyfitz, FITZ.
All right. Well, thank you. Excited for our deep dive business weekend.
Here comes the go bigger.
It's going to be wonderful.
It's going to be wonderful. Hey, guys that are listening, we love you. And you are loved. You are so, so, so very loved. And I want you to remember that in every cell of your body.
Let's go.
Can we stay so I